Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another day of the Overwatch League here in APAC. I'm Achilleos, joined by Avril. Going to start off the show with a little bit more of a somber note here right at the beginning, as we learned a couple hours ago about the tragic passing of one Dan McHugh, somebody who you guys might not know, but in the background, in the contender scene especially, this guy was a driving force for growth, for progression in that scene.
Yeah, he was the program lead for Tier 2 Overwatch Contenders, Path to Pro, Overwatch Collegiate, all that kind of good stuff. We all personally worked with them, Achilleos and I meeting at Gauntlet was due to, Dan's initiative for putting those events on in 2019. Like Seth said, you guys probably, won't have even really known him, but the level of dedication he brought behind the scenes and all he did for Overwatch Esports behind the scenes will never be forgotten. A true hero in the Overwatch Esports space, and he will be dearly missed. Yeah,
absolutely. He's been there since the very beginning. I remember working in 2018 on Contenders in Korea and him flying out to view the finals and whatnot. It's very clear that aside from his music, his other passion very much was esports and the continued growth of the Contender scene. So Dan, we will miss you dearly. Rest in peace, friend, to his loved ones. We wish you the best in these troubling times. But there's one thing that he would want, and that would be for the show to carry on. And that's what we are going to do here as we go ahead and take a look at our starting matchup of the day. We'll dedicate the show to you. It's going to be the Seoul Dynasty going up against the Shanghai Dragons. In the past, Avril, this has been a match that I think we would heavily anticipate quite a bit. It's been a little bit rougher around the edges for both of these squads, but Dynasty very much have found their groove as of late. Shanghai Dragons on the come up as, these last few series of theirs. So we'll see how they fare now going up against the top dogs in the region.
Let's take a look at the standings here as well, where three teams have clinched their position in the Kickoff clash. Bottom two have already been eliminated, which leaves only one spot remaining between the Philadelphia Fusion and the Chengdu Hunters. You will also notice right at the top of the top three teams, every single team tied at a 4-1 record. So Shanghai, despite the shaky start, have managed to still get a bunch of wins in there. They won three, I think, back-to-back map 5s in a row. They even have a +2 now due to their great performance yesterday versus Chengdu, but they still need to do a lot of work today because you essentially have to have a situation where Shanghai win against Seoul and Spark also lose against Philly for Shanghai to clinch at #1 spot. Seoul and Spark, they have a much easier pathway through. If Seoul can win this one, and as long as they can keep their map record above Spark's late to game, they will get #1. #1 seed, I'm pretty sure, also gets to select their opponent as well in our region, so that's really important. Seoul, a lot to play for. Currently, technically, the #1 team based on standings with a +1 differential, only one extra map 1 compared to their counterparts at #2 in the Hangzhou Spark.
Well, here's the starting five for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Nothing different, and this is exactly what you would anticipate this roster right here has been through. That rough start at the very beginning, dropping that series to the Hangzhou Spark. The rebound, the utter dominance. They have 2 3-0 sweeps consecutively coming behind them right now, really pushing those sales forward. We'll see if they can get another one. And if they can, versus the defending champions in the Shanghai Dragons, it's pretty much done and dusted. This is, absolutely the best squad that we have in the region. Hangzhou Spark, of course, will want to give them a run for their money. But the Shanghai Dragons, they have been looking a little bit rocky as of late, being pushed to these Game 5 series against teams that we would have, coming into this year, absolutely expected that they would dominate. But it has been an upward trajectory overall for them. We'll see how they kick things off, though, with this starting five. You've got Lip there, and who are you as Vlad is going to be sitting on the bench for now.
And this is going to be, I think, Dragon's opportunity to define themselves as a top team in the region again. I think they already are, obviously, in the top 3 now, but they've had a bit of a slow start. We had to get through the gears on that shift. The clutch is a little bit old here for the Shanghai Dragons vehicle, but we're getting to a stage now where we're getting the miles up. We're getting quite fast in this vehicle. And then Shanghai Dragons, as we get towards the end of the Kickoff clash, and certainly in the qualifier here, but even going into the tournament, I suspect that they will be hitting closer to their final form, closer to, whatever the maximum gear ratio for them is going to be.
Well, looks like Binheim maybe taking a little bit of a bathroom break there, getting ready, getting jazzed up. Creative is giving himself a massage, making sure that he's got the shoulders nicely stretched out, make sure he's got those muscles working. So we'll see if this comes back to bite them, Avril. We don't have the team staff giving this man his deadlift massage, so maybe Shanghai Dragons will have a bit of an opportunity here to capitalize on that in map 1.
Get Arnold on the phone, this show cannot begin until Creative
Where's the masseuse?
Where's his massage? It's required, it's in his contract, and honestly, it's been working. It's been working so well for Creative. I mean, he's been indomitable in previous games. Even, I think in the difficult games that we've seen, the Dynasty struggle against the Valiant, Creative was still such a dominant force. I think he's just been so... I keep calling him a silent carry, but I feel like every time we see him, he gets a little bit less silent and people are a little bit more aware of just how much impact this person is bringing to the field.
Yeah, he's getting louder and louder as time goes on. I mean, he's coming up with such clutch sleep darts. I mean, you look back to the one just getting that sleep on Echo on King's Row while he's in the middle of the grab. There's 4 people, locked in the Graviton Surge alongside him. Still manages to identify the primary target, the most deadly threat to the team in that moment. Gets the sleep out. He's just been really putting up solid figures. Everybody on this lineup has just looked incredible. Vindheim as well, one of these rookies who's really starting to make a name for himself. We've seen him be completely and utterly bloodthirsty, throughout some of these games, just going off on the Lucio, getting into people's faces, making sure that he's getting those melee hits through and getting the eliminations. So the whole lineup overall looks absolutely stacked. This is what we anticipated coming into the year, and it's good to see that the Dynasty are finally delivering on those promises, on those expectations.
And now as well, I think the Shanghai Dragons coming in with massive expectations on their shoulders, defending champions here, best team of Overwatch 1. To me, this was always going to be, or it should have always been narratively, the best match in APAC. It should be kind of APAC number 1 versus APAC number 2. Currently, Hangzhou's also in that mix, which I'm very thankful for. It's great that I think we have a third horse in that race currently, in that kind of top 3, 4-1 record across those guys. But Shanghai just took so long to kind of ramp in, and yesterday's game really is, I think, the real comeback of Shanghai in many ways. Chengdu have had their struggles this season so far, don't get me wrong, but when you kind of exclude Chengdu from that conversation, you just look at how clean Shanghai were on their half of the equation. I mean, that was impressive, and I think that's kind of faith, a little bit of faith restored in Shanghai after seeing some of the earlier games, and now I think we are ready for a very close series, whereas otherwise, I would have probably said Seoul, I got to come comfortable into this one. Now I'm not too sure. Now I think we're going to get the real, 4 or 5 maps. It's going to be bloodthirsty.
Certainly hope so. I'm hoping that this one can go the distance. Too many 3-0s for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. It's time for somebody to drag them back into the Game 5 meta. We'll see if the Dragons can make it happen as we take a look at our map set. Oasis will kick us off for Control, then we'll move into Gibraltar, etc., etc. Looks like we aren't quite ready to get things started, though, so we will just have a quick little pause in game while Dynasty gets settled and ready to roll, but Oasis will kick things off for us.
And, while we do this, I'll just quickly touch up on a couple other things in the standings here as well. Fusion and Hunters, rather, are trying to clinch the final spot here. It is a big day for both teams. Now, Fusion's hopes are they're more so within their own hands. If Fusion win at all tonight versus Hangzhou Spark, they will clinch that last seed going into our kickoff clash. If they lose, Hunters must win, but Hunters also have to win with a scoreline that is 3-1 or 3-0. They cannot win 3-2. So a lot to play for there as well later on. Spark obviously have the opportunity to get that number 1 seed over the Dynasty. If both teams win, Spark just need a better map record, and they just have to kind of get that 1 extra map win compared to Seoul Dynasty. But currently, field is open. Seoul, Shanghai, Hangzhou, any of these 3 teams, as of this exact moment, could be our number 1 seed going to the kickoff clash, and we still don't exactly know who it's going to be. But Kilios, we're going to find out. Map number 1, Oasis.
That we are. Saw there on your screen just a moment ago. Haven't played against each other since the very end of 2021. Shanghai Dragons was able to take that set 3-2. I'm going to see if they can clean it up a little bit more here today. Try to make it a 3-0 for themselves, as they have played an extensive amount of Game 5 series so far. But out the gate, it's going to be the Soldier Genjis coming through. Perfectly matched compositions, as right now the skirmish comes through onto the high ground. Fate falling low. The leap back up, has the bubble. Prophet finds first blood, taking down Limp. Now Fate has fallen, and that is going to be the point broken open here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty.
It's a really interesting opening for Seoul as well, because you see Prophet on the Genji. Now, Genji is hard meta, but Seoul have actually preferred to play the Prophet Tracer in all of their recent games. We haven't seen as much Prophet Genji compared to the other teams that have played a lot more Genji. That includes the Shanghai Dragons, starting with Who Are You, right? But straight off the bat, they get rid of, I think, the biggest carry on the Shanghai Dragons, player of the match from their previous game, and Lip, probably the best hit scan in all of APAC currently. When that guy's down early, Seoul have a much better chance.
Absolutely do. Always been a prime target since he really started showing up for the Shanghai Dragons. Prophet, for now, just looking to farm up the blade as much as possible. Who Are You keeping pace with him for now. Smurf gonna get taken down. You mentioned Lip, there he goes, finds a kill, looks for another one, helps set up for the elimination there on a Fitz. Tries to retreat, Prophet will manage to hound him down, keeping them in the fight, keeping control of the point for now as the contest comes back in, but Prophet getting cleaned up. Vindheim, no one to heal, not many places to go. They'll just jet back over towards their base, and that will be the flip.
Couple of kills there on the exit for Prophet, as you know they know they've lost the fight, but just to slow down the ultimate charge, important because Creative was behind Easyyaki. With Easyyaki down as well, this is going to give Creative a little bit of an opportunity to catch up on the Nano, and now they are much closer. First ultimate's coming on through. Could be the supports here, who are used not that far off. Both the tanks are looking pretty reasonable as well, depending on how long we delay this one for. Lip is definitely behind Fitz though, so he would like to drag this one out a little bit longer if possible.
He would. Anti does connect on the Lip, but Smurf can't pursue that deep. It would be a bit too dangerous for him as they try to contest that high ground. Fate, in the meantime, has the Primal Rage, juggling a couple of people around, and that's going to force the sound barrier out. Maybe an opportunity here for Who Are You when he can get that Dragon Blade up, because right now he is going to be nanoed. Dashes in, finds Vindheim, got Creative as well, so both supports going to be out of the fight. Continues pressing forward, he's looking for Fitz, and they will manage to find him. Fitz does get the kill onto the enemy Genji, though, but it seems like Dynasty might not be any closer to getting this flip. And as I say that, Fate will go ahead, make his exit. Didn't have enough support, so does have to pull back.
Vindheim uses the sound barrier early to keep Seoul into the fight, or at least to get them in towards the fight. That means once the nanos start coming on through, Who Are You doesn't even need to pull Blade. They get rid of both the Seoul Dynasty supports. Prophet and Fitz are not in a position to ult yet because they're still earning them. I believe Prophet just gets it as he dies even, so no opportunity for Seoul to really make much more happen there, but they come in with 4 big ultimates now.
Okay, attack visor now going to be popped. Looking for a target, and he finds him in the stairwell. Creative scooping the kills there with the bio. Picks up Lee Jae-gon, picks up Who Are You, and then it's going to be the fight 1 for the side of the Dynasty as they've comfortably taken the lead, now 16% up over top of the Dragons.
Massive sleep dump. We talked about this in the pre-show. Creative finds the exact sleep target that he needs almost every single time, and it is always the highest priority one. Who Are You? Coming in, Nano Blade gone. Sleep dart straight away, cleans it up with a double bayonet as well, allows Fitz to walk on through with his own Nano Visor to get that fight when Seoul, commanding lead now 35% ahead, looking for a final fight situation. Prophet going in Blade.
He is looking for a target. Sound barrier comes in from Lee Jae-gon to keep Lip protected. He still holds on to that attack visor. Fate going to be taking a nap for now, and Who Are You? I'm not sure quite just what happened, but he is dead. Prophet dashing in, does find Lip. That's going to deny the visor yet again as Smurf looks to clear the rest of the point with a Primal Rage. Shoves Lee Jae-gon back. He cannot grab that Mega Pack. Smurf trying to defend it. Eichenwalde has been eliminated. Fate leaping back over as the zaps just come flying in. He will end up falling. It's all in desperation now for the side of the Shanghai Dragons. Lip popping the tack visor, looking for a target. First says, hey, I'm right here. Go ahead and shoot me. He will, but it's not going to lead to a kill. It's not going to lead to a point contest. 100 to 50%. Dynasty will take the first round of Garden.
Great targeting there, just shutting down both the DPSs again. Not too sure how Who Are You died. Possibly could have been sent off the map, but there was no sort of indicator that happened. I don't know, did he deflect a helix into his feet? And the splash killed him anyway, but I guess if you do that, you return... Now, technically, when you deflect something, you get ownership of the thing you deflected. So I guess that could count as suicide. Not really too sure. Maybe we'll find out in the replay. Could it be? No, this will be Creative Sleep Dart. So here we go. And boom. Easy as you love it. That was mid-dash, by the way. Who Are You? Mid-dash got slept. 2
Absolutely
kills there.
Gorgeous.
That's out of 5, so statistically, he slept 3 enemies on that Gardens, 5 Biotic Grenade kills, which is eliminations, that counts for assist as well, compared to Easyyaki's 0 sleeps and only 1 Bionet kill.
Which is a bit surprising, given that you do have an enemy Winston there. Not getting a single sleep onto him is a little bit confusing, but it's like right foot forward is here for the side of the Shanghai Dragons to kick things off with a nice pick. Smurf going to be taken down. Still, though, have to wait for the point to become unlocked, and Fitz answers back with some kills of his own. Peyton, Who Are You? Now going to be taken out of the fray. Helix Rockets finding an immense amount of value as he is already halfway to the tack visor. This is nasty damage from Fitz.
Absolutely, and Fitz needs to outperform Lip as well, because I think even last year, the years before that, Fitz and Lip have kind of always been... They've been on a parallel journey as far as being this hit scan player for their team, for their franchise. Lip is soared ahead in the previous season, but Fitz has always been on that tail. Now is the opportunity for Fitz to prove that he can not only catch up, but even overtake.
And then him just going to make his way out of there as the Bionate does connect. Keeps himself alive. Smurf, however, not going to be able to do the same. Ends up going down. Cross Lip now on the high ground, playing around looking for a target. Spots Prophet there as they continue to contest the point, just trying to not deny this flip. But who are you? Got into the back lines of the Dynasty, takes out Creative. A good forward step and lip. Man, direct hit to the chest. The rockets tear apart Fitz. The flip will come through yet again. 35% as the flip happens. Dragons gain control.
And you get to see the Who Are You Tracer come out alive as well, doing quite a decent amount. It's not something that he's actually really played so far this season. I'm trying to remember if he played any of it at all, but no, I don't think he has, at least not to my memory. More known for the Genji. Certainly Dragons have fighter control currently, Nano in their favor, Pulse Bomb available as well, double DPS ultimates, things look generally pretty good.
Pretty neck and neck right now, but Fate with a nice little lead, as well as Eichenwalde getting ready to have a second support ultimate to go for the side of the Shanghai Dragons here. Could hold this for a good long while. Now going, running around the side. He's looking for the pick here on a Creative. Will manage to find him. The Sleep Dart does come in on the back end, but with Vindhame dead. Somehow the point does get flipped here in favor of the Seoul Dynasty, but it should be quickly retaken by the Dragons.
Yeah, that's because Seoul actually went for a dive onto the point. They were looking for backline members of the Dragons, while Dragons traded backlines with the Seoul Dynasty. They went for Creative instead. With Izayaki down there, it's an opportunity for Seoul Dynasty to get moving. Lip as well to follow.
I mean, that being said, the point has not been flipped. The Dynasty have gained control. That pickoff came through onto Izayaki. Legion dropped a beat, but it was only for him and Fade. They're not able to find anything off the back of that here. Smurf going to end up getting taken down, but Fitz was completely unhinged. He was completely uncontested. A little bit of damage his way, but Smurf came to his rescue. They keep him in the fight, and Dynasty, it looked like it was just going to be a quick flip back in. Maybe they gain, 8-10%, but no, they hold it.
And it's just 2 extra players coming on, or 2 extra kills coming in for the Seoul Dynasty. The players that Shanghai Dragons were trying to trade remained untraded. Like you said, Smurf, he was on that point, he capped it, he remained in control the entire time. Now the Seoul Dynasty still with 3 ultimates in favor, looking pretty decent. Could be a Nano Visor, or maybe just a dry Nano.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to hold it for now because he doesn't have too many targets to acquire. A little bit of damage in. Fate slept taken low. Now going to be popping that Primal to try to stay alive. Creative taken down. Not sure if that was just a kill off the right click or a boop into traffic. Either way, they get one of the supports out of the fight. Lijigon doubles down, gets Prophet as well. Huge pickups for him, and 99% the Dragons will be able to flip this back into their favor.
Pretty huge for Dragons not to have overspent ultimates as well. I think in a lot of cases you'll be tempted to spend more ultimates than you actually have. Lip now going to pull out that Visor, not going to Nano, and again, this is really efficient coming from the Dragons. They do not want to have to overspend because they need to get to the 99 themselves, and they must have enough ultimates remaining to get themselves across the board, considering that Seoul Dynasty have 3 in the pocket still, and Seoul only need a 1 and done to get this map and start out with a 1 and 0.
So very close to it, and they still have a plethora of tools to try to utilize here to get this flip back into their favor and close out Oasis. Who are you in the meantime? Gonna grab this Mega Pack. Sound Barrier gonna be dropped in. That'll delay the Pulse Bomb at least for a little bit longer, but no, he actually finds the target. Takes out Fitz. Nat gets rid of the Visor, exactly. A huge pick off there for the side of the Shanghai Dragons as they continue to tick up. Prophet, however, does find Fate. Smurf gonna be traded out though. So still Shanghai Dragons managing to find the advantage, and the nade is massive from Izayaki. The supports get cleaned up. Now someone's got to contest. See Prophet already here on the point. Needs to touch yet again. He will force the OT out, but can they win the fight? Vindhame and Creative just now respawning. Going to be working their way back up to the point, but nobody else can touch as Prophet is dealt with. It's 199 in response. Shanghai Dragons clapping back here in the second round of City Center. Looks like we have to settle it all on University.
Absolutely, the final couple of fights there for the Shanghai Dragons, you could just see how much tempo was a priority for this squad when Lip just goes for a drive visor, gets a free fight win off that. Seoul Dynasty not interested in contesting because, again, they're going for the 1 and done fight. They're happy to draw ultimates out of Shanghai, but Shanghai only have to use 1 there. It's that final engagement with, the Who Are You Pulse Bomb onto Fitz, deleting and cancelling their Visor, and then a double Bayonet from Izayaki onto the backline that completely forces Seoul out. No supports, no Fitz, there is no chance of winning.
Once more into the breach we go. Let's see who is going to be walking away with a 1-0 lead here at the start of this series. But he's just going to be clashing over towards the mini pack here on the high ground for now. Bubbles coming down on top of each other. Smurf's going to be making the exit first. I think for Shanghai Dragons, you hold your head high and say, yeah, we won that fight. Nobody died, but they get a little bit of poke damage through.
And I don't think anyone's going to get too frisky here until the point actually unlocks. Shanghai Dragons have high ground control. Seoul got to fight for that one. Smurf's actually gone in already. He's been naded.
Yep, he is antied out. He's got no way to escape. Ends up falling. Prophet in the meantime just trying to farm with these right clicks, but it could be Creative who gets farmed. Fate leaping forward, gets on top of the enemy. Ana. Vindhame again comes up with a kill. Finds one onto Lip to help get Fitz in the lead here towards that tack visor, but the point is going to be taken first and foremost by the side of the Dragons.
You can see there was an awkward dive from Smurf as well because you're out of LOS on most of your teammates. You're going towards that right side high ground where maybe the right call would have been just to wait for the point to unlock, play the dives around the point instead, and claim the area of the map that you do have control over. But, you know, Seoul Dynasty, they pull the trigger early. It's a whiff and a miss. Shanghai, they lose too.
Yep, the support's now out of the fight. No damage coming through there from Fitz on the high ground. Hoping to chip away at them. The point still not flipped, but there will come through as Dragons hit 30%. Fate now going to be slept, taken down. I mean, the ragdoll effects in this game are just absolutely hilarious at times. Sent across the other side of the arena, slams into the wall, and Lee Jae-gon just trying to push out, trying to poke and prod with his left click spam. Ends up getting cut down. Prophet with a nice elimination. A good stagger, and that's going to allow them to catch up.
So really fast response from Seoul, right? You don't want to waste too much time here. Don't want to allow Dragons to get the first ring of ultimates. They'll have it now, but Seoul are in control, which means Dragons are going to be forced to commit early. Should be a nano coming on through to Lip. He has the nano visor, which could be a possibility.
Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be nano chucked out. They try to keep Lip alive. He's anti, but does not care. Continues to push forward now with the attack visor rolling behind him. Flip about to come in. Smurf jumps across for the contest, but who are you is there for the alley-oop. Profits off the back of that damage. Jigon also eliminated here, but it's going to be a 2-for-1 trade-up. Sleep onto Fate as he goes out with a Primal Rage. Fitz now popping the tack visors, looking for another target. It's going to be beaten and battered back over towards the Shanghai Dragon spawn room. It's zapped a little bit, but the Bionade comes through from Creative. They get that amplified healing. They manage to keep him alive. Dive in from Who Are You falls low. Will get taken down. Cannot make it to the Mega Pack in time. And with those 2 kills, that is going to be Dynasty maintaining control of the point and now doubling the percentage of the Dragons.
Yeah, the sound barrier towards the end, though, ends up being a little bit questionable. I think Seoul were very desperate to make sure that they were going to guarantee the fight win, but now you do not have the sound barrier to counter Who Are You's Dragon Blade. Dragons, as soon as they see the sound barrier, they're like, okay, happy to back on out. We know what our win condition is. We also have a sound barrier advantage. Shanghai Dragons, they're in the position now to flip it once again.
This is going to be a lot of pressure here on Smurf and Vindheim to try and deny access from Who Are You. The blade going to be pulled. He gets the second dash up. Lip already, however, has fallen. Prophet comes up with 2 kills. Fate taken down. Who Are You? He can't find another target. Has the sheath of blade, and he can't get the kill on the Vindheim.
What is that?
Lee Jae-gon now drops the beat, but it's only on the 2 people. They know that they have to try to continue this fight somehow. They need to be able to touch, but I don't think they're going to be given the opportunity. He drops the beat onto only 2. Lip will come back, find Smurf, but Lee Jae-gon is now dead. Izuyaki still at half HP, trying to stay alive. They will contest the point here for now. Vindheim picked off. Prophet slicing and dicing, finds Izuyaki, finds Lip. Crawls his way back out of the pit, now looks over towards Fate, who's been eliminated by Fitz. The DPS duo is here, as well as, rather, it's Who Are You and Lee Jae-gon that are there. He might as well be one of the DPS, given Lee Jae-gon's proficiency in the fights, but they cannot last. They cannot survive through Prophet's Dragon Blade. They clean them up, and I don't know why that says Boston Uprising. It certainly is not them. It's the Seoul Dynasty who are going to be walking away victorious here on Oasis.
Look, Achilles, I think at this stage of the game, the Boston Uprising will be happy with any small wins they can get, so they'll take that one. It's a dub. It's a dub in the Boston Uprising's book. Absolutely, yeah. No, I think, just to clear something up, I wasn't surprised at Lee Jae-gon sound barring to at all, because, well, I'll put it this way. He should have sound barried, but way earlier. The thing is, the entire team was dead. 3 members were dead. It was just him and Izuyaki left, and then the sound barrier comes on through. Perhaps he felt like he could save one more person. But really, when the counter dive came on, and because it is last fight, so, you know, obviously you are going to use the sound barrier in the last fight. That was always going to happen. But it could have come out at a stage where it's very clear that Seoul have to dive into you as well. Prophet comes on in, you Blade and you sound barrier at the same time. You even beat Blade, right? That's a valid combo on top of the nano. That would have been the fight, because you know you have a sound barrier advantage. The fact that Lee Jae-gon held it for so long and then only used it at the end, I think was the part that I was quite surprised by.
Yeah, a bit of a head scratcher there at the end, but one thing's for sure: Prophet on the Genji, still an absolute treat to watch. Incredible performance from him there at the end, and yeah, Prophet carries Boston to a victory. But guys, we're gonna go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have map number 2. See if the Shanghai Dragons can answer back, if they can tie up this series, make it 1-1, or if the Dynasty are going to be able to maintain pace for yet another 3-0 sweep. Don't go anywhere. And we are back, just one map into this banger of a series here to kick things off. Shanghai Dragons falling shy of the mark there on Oasis, cannot get the win. Instead goes 2-1 over to the Seoul Dynasty, who are looking for a third 3-0 sweep in a row. We'll see if they can get it, though, as we turn our sights over to it's Watchpoint Gibraltar for our next map. See if they can clean it up, or if the Dragons can tie up the score.
And it's a close enough match that I think, it could have swung either way. Shanghai Dragons, we can go back to the last couple of fights. Could they have handled that better? Absolutely. But yes, it's tight enough margins that, the smallest mistakes, the smallest errors, the smallest little bits and pieces of factors and tangibles in the game that are going to come in and change their outcome. So, I'm glad the match so far has been delivering, but Map 2 and onwards, I think it needs to continue, because we definitely have seen before where teams peak on the first map and then kind of falter throughout. And that's even just happened this week, to be honest with you, without naming anyone in particular. But here, so far, I have enough faith that I think we can go the distance here, because we got situations where it's so winnable for both sides that, it's far too early for any boomage to happen. I have full faith so far. It's going to come back to bite me, Achilles, but I got full faith.
All right, well, we'll see if that faith is deserved in the end. I think it's a little bit concerning, though, overall, when we do look down the line to international competition. I think it's very concerning for Shanghai Dragons that they can't take the map off of Boston Uprising. So we'll see how
I know, right?
Moving forward.
Come on, really? Guys.
All right, some little snafus. We realize the colors
I know you're on
changed
300 ping, but come on.
But don't worry. Everything's fine. The teams are back in the proper lobby. We've got the color schemes taken care of, so I hope all of you poor fans that were panicking are satisfied, as we can now focus back up on what matters, which is the gameplay.
They made Seoul Dynasty blue.
Oh my god,
Boston
how can
colors.
they do this to my team?
They've turned it, they've combined. That's the future. We got a glimpse. We've got the telescope out, get your binoculars out with your 2 paper rolls, and you can see that Seoul Dynasty and Boston Uprising have merged into one extremely professional organization, right? Am I doing the meme correct,
Precisely.
guys? Now, here we go. Map 2, Gibraltar, no substitutions. Lip versus Fitz. Now, Lip has been unbelievably dominant in the Widowmaker so far, so the test will be definitely for Fitz to keep up, as other Widows have certainly failed.
They have. For now, Fitz getting a couple extra tags in, as Lip never going to have the advantage here, playing as the attacking Widowmaker. Pop up over the top, spots him for just a moment there. And shots will come whizzing past on either side. Bubble there to deny. Hit onto Prophet, so for now we'll be safe. It's going to be slow and steady here as the car gets abandoned for just a moment. Trying to contest the high ground, but Fate has overstayed his welcome. Ends up falling. Good early pick, and that is cart control here for the side of the Dynasty. As they look for a little bit of extra cleanup, Izayaki taken down.
I mean, that is a Bionade onto Fate, then a sleep onto Lee J. Gone. Kriev just hits both. Another Bionade onto Lip as well. I mean, he's just pushing everyone back. The only thing that the Seoul Dynasty haven't got good control of is that they've allowed Huayu to get free push. They will punish him. So consistently, Seoul Dynasty still on a 5v4. Payload positioning, though, is so immensely good for Dragons that despite losing so many members, based on the amount of time that's progressed, I think that's actually kind of a win for Dragons, just because they pushed their payload so far.
Fitz taking a hit. Backs away for now. Lip again, looking for a pop shot, looking for a target. It's going to be sat up here. Does see Smurf for just a moment. Not quite going to get the dink. Still gives a good chunk of damage into him, but Creative overall I think is going to be perfectly happy, because he says, well, that's just more nano boost charge for me. And now he's just about ready to have that online. Let's see if that has to go into Smurf, or if that goes to Prophet, who is now taking quite a bit of damage. Creative under fire. Gonna throw down that Bionade. Nano goes out. Prophet jumping onto the high ground, looking for a target. The blade's gonna be pulled instantly. Gets Lee J. Gaunt, cleans up Izayaki. The support's now out of the fight. Moves over to try to finish off Fate, but Fitz has already got the job done. Gets a second kill for himself, and that will be a nice little 4K coming through for the team collectively, as it's now less than 2 minutes remaining for the Dragons on the push.
The only person that got away was Lip on the Widowmaker. He was already the furthest back anyway. Usually should be pretty safe against the Dragon Blade, so well done there. I mean, that's the nano difference, right? The ultimates come on Life Assault first. Prophet on a little bit of a deep lurk here, and actually, they've managed to get, in some ways, behind the Seoul Dynasty. Infrasight will reveal them, though, so Prophet has to get away.
Yep. Got to try to make his exit. Sends a warning shot of shurikens over towards Lip as he was getting ready to crest over the top of that high ground there. Smurf again going in, contesting, knows that he can play a bit more freely now that he has the Primal Rage ready to roll. So this is looking to keep them zoned off of this position as much as possible. Now drops back down. Look how far the car has rolled here. And it does go out. Who are you, though?
No,
Doesn't have a target. Trying to farm the rest of this. Going to go into the shield of Vindhame.
Oh, no.
They try to push him away with the shield bash. Won't connect. And now, yeah, Nano has expired. Vindhame just chases him down. And that is just a catastrophe. Izayaki, in the meantime, was finished off by Smurf, who gets lipped there on the back end of the Primal. Cart moved right back up to where it was before. And they are very much losing out in the fight. Creative and Profit do go down, though. But Dragons need a bit more than that if they want to continue this push here and now.
Yeah, no one's really pushing, though. This rally could be the difference maker. Vindhame at 1 HP. If Vindhame survived, he could have rallied as well. Lijigon getting that kill might just give Dragons the cap. Unless.
He's saying that. And then Creative gets another Bionade. Lijigon taken down to the rally. Not going to be fighting too much. It keeps him alive, but it does not help progress the cart, which is now going to be rolling back down into the underpass. Fate makes his exit. Lijigon now swapping, knowing that they don't have too much time left.
This is OT.
With the rally gone, he's just got to go for the Lucio.
Drive Blade of the OT, Nano coming online for Creative. He's, at this point, basically lapped Izayaki. Early rally, it's a pre-rally as well. They just want to build up that green HP. I mean, we're definitely into final fight here. It's all on Who Are You. He's already half HP.
Yep, already takes a tag, falls low, will get topped up. Has the Dragon Blade still held, looking for his opportunity, dashes in, looks for a target, everybody spreads. Focus Fire coming through from Smurf, and as you can see, he goes in for the chase to try to get Chance, but he just grapples away to safety. Prophet going to be taken down. Lip does find one opening kill, but he needs to find a hell of a lot more than that. For now, it's Lijigon contesting the cart. Lip will pick up Smurf. They still need more. Fate rejoining, but Creative shuts him down. The cart unoccupied. The OT will dwindle, and that is as far as it goes. It's a full hold here for the Dynasty.
I mean, what should have probably been the Shanghai Dragons cap is when they actually had Fate and Lijigon into the back lines. Okay, you could argue maybe they overstepped there as well, but the rally came in clutch, trust me. That solo kill to Vindhame from Lijigon was absolutely massive, but then the respawners from Seoul started to come on back. Creative gets the Bionade kill to Lijigon, shutting down that rally, and then suddenly Seoul Dynasty back in control. Shanghai Dragons find that they only have one ultimate left to play through. It's just Who Are You on the Blade. That failed Nano Blade combo from a little bit earlier on was critical. That, to me, is a turning point. Because it's not, by the way, it's not unsurprising. It's for a player to put a Nano onto a Genji that's not quite on the Blade. Maybe you're 5% off, maybe you're even 10% off, and you build your Blade as part of the Nano, right? And you pull the Blade during the Nano. That's pretty standard stuff that we have been seeing this season. However, the fact that Who Are You failed to get the damage in, he was chasing after the supports, didn't get that Blade. Creative and Vindhame shut him down, but while they're doing that, Creative also just has time to look around, sleep Fate in the middle of dealing with Who Are You all in one play. That was insane. Then Seoul Dynasty from there kept snowballing their defense, held on against, the Fate to Lijigon dive eventually, and then rest is history. Here we are, full hold completed.
Well, not very far to go in the side of the Shanghai Dragons. They have their work cut out for them here with this defense. Fitz looking for the pop shot, spots out Lip. Can't get the tag though. At least just looking to really police the positioning here of that enemy Widowmaker. Fate playing forward, and I mean the rest of the Dynasty say, we don't care about you, Fate. They just go to the high ground there for a moment. Smurf will be taking a nap. Headshot through from Lip, but obviously not going to lead to an elimination. Instead, it's yet again Creative just saying like, okay, more charge for me. Going to build up towards that Nano.
You can also, by the way, see that Lip is having a much harder time sniping in this particular lobby compared to previous games. He's only got the 2 final blows over the course of one half of this map already. And we've seen plenty of time in Lip on this map or other escort maps playing the Widowmaker. He's just been such a dominant force. It's not like Fitz is massively outpacing him. Fitz only has 3 final blows compared to Lip's 2, but both the Widowmakers haven't been hugely a factor in these matchups. I think it's been mostly the Genjis and the Winston players that have pulled the most weight.
Yeah. I mean, those 2 final blows you talk about, Lip got him at the very end of that last round, on their attack where it didn't really matter because everybody else had been dead and no one could contest the card after that. So, the kills that he found even weren't that valuable, but that's a massive one from Fitz. Finally manages to get the better of his opponent. Is that elimination? Now himself is under fire. Who are used there for the alley-oop. Sets up for the damage there from Fate. Gets the kill. Finds another. Vindhame going to be taken down, but Smurf and Prophet starting to try to do some serious work here as Creative Tries to keep himself alive, throws down that bio nade.
Still healing Smurf. I mean, Creative walked out. Smurf was low HP. Who are you couldn't shove Creative far enough away. And with that, Smurf also gets away with his own life. So we have a bit of an ultimate trade coming on through. Payload is very close now. So Seoul Dynasty, given the amount of time, I think it's reasonable where they are. They just need to secure the rest of these ultimates now. Creative can get this nano. Izuyaki's already used one. The Infrasight will be kind of whatever from Fitz, but we'll just make sure that they know where Lip is.
Just a few more meters really here to go for the side of the Dynasty. Now they have that Infrasight rolling. Fitz spotting out everybody but Lip. Despite that, still manages to get the kill there onto Smurf. Double dink here onto Fate, who now pops the primal rage to get the sleep on the Who Are You. He so desperately wants to line up this headshot, has not been able to make it happen yet. Actually just got the bounty tag there onto Who Are You to wake him back up as he just gets juggled around, but he's not dying. Good healing focus out from the side of the Seoul Dynasty to keep that Widowmaker in the fight. Now Fate falling lower and lower. They keep him locked in. And they manage to find the kill. Prophet taking the killing blow, still a ways to go for that blade though. Rally rolling from Lee Jae Gon, trying to offer up that extra healing out. Extra health, rather, onto his teammates. Dash forward, Who Are You? Managed to find Fitz. It's going to be a trade out here on the Widowmakers. Now he gets himself into the back line. He's trying to take down Creative, and he manages to make it happen in the end. Cart, however, still being contested. Fate playing forward, jumps into the back, looks for Vindheim. A bit of focus there towards the Brigitte, as we're less than a minute remaining. Shanghai Dragons looking and needing this fuller hold to try to tie it up. Smurf going to be taken down at the back end of the fight. Cannot exit safely. There's a good amount of stagger here for Shanghai Dragons.
That was heroics coming up from Who Are You, honestly, getting 2 kills there, the first of which looked like he might have even potentially have whiffed on, but no, he ends up getting Fitz anyway, follows the hook shot, collects that kill, converts over to Creative as well, who put the nano to Prophet, but like what we saw from Who Are You and Izuyaki earlier, Prophet didn't build his blade with the nano. He was like 10% off, never got the blade. Who Are You had the blade, so Prophet didn't get to use anything.
Fitz is dead. Yet again, they just go ahead, couple in with the dive. They find the eliminations. Creative's going to be out of the fight. And yeah, they're making it happen. Who Are You? He certainly had some blunders on their own attack, but now he's more than making up for it. The team is going to be wiped here with just a little bit of time left to go. Smurf alive, Fitz swapping over to the Tracer to try to keep this going. 4 meters left as they look for the fuller hold. Smurf falling low, forces out the overtime, but now somebody's got to touch, and they are just not close enough, it would seem. Fitz drops down, manages to get the tag. Vindheim waiting around the corner. Smurf still waiting to respawn. 4 meters and a dream here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Smurf tries to swap to the Wrecking Ball, but no one else touches. Fitz is too busy duking it out with Lip, and it's a fight that he loses at the very end. The Shanghai Dragons, against all odds, manage to pull off the fuller hold, and they win the map to tie it up 1-1.
I mean, thank Mr. Who Are You for all of that, honestly. He saved Shanghai's bacon with his heroic plays in a situation where, at the same time, Prophet kind of got caught napping, in a literal sense as well. I believe he was actually slept during a portion of that nano. So now we've kind of flipped it back. It was a fuller hold coming through from Shanghai Dragons, and I actually have to be a little bit critical of Smurf here because it's twice on this map I feel like he has kind of been caught out. The most recent of which, you'll remember, he dived into Lip and got killed via Lip's melee, and obviously no follow-up from the rest of the Seoul Dynasty, and that was during a critical time where Seoul really wanted to make a proper push happen, you know, as a full 5-man unit. They had the nano going for them, they had the Infrasight to check for positioning, they could have just played that one as a team. Smurf dying, reset the entire play, and guess what actually happened during the reset? Who Are You built his blade. Who Are You didn't have blade, so if they actually fought as 5 before Who Are You got that blade and Smurf didn't die, could have been a different story. So again, finest of margins here, really impacting both teams, but this time it's Seoul copping the L, and it will be 1-1.
Well, no 3-0 sweep here for the Dynasty. The Dragons put their foot down, so we tie things up 1-1. Nobody at match point. We'll see what happens. We'll see who takes the lead when we do come back from the break, because it's been neck and neck so far. That fuller hold doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't show you how close the series is, and I don't know what will. But I'll just say it again. It's neck and neck. You don't want to miss the action, guys. It's going to continue in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. Done it again. I'm muted. Sorry, guys. That's 2 for me now, 1 for Avril. He takes the lead. This is golf rules.
Hello?
So.
Hello? I'm good.
Yep. Oh, boy. Well, anyway, as I was trying to say, but you couldn't hear me, this series is delivering. 1-1 the scoreline right here. All we wanted was for this to not be a 3-0 sweep, and the Dragons have made it happen. A beautiful Fuller hold there on watch point. Gibraltar to tie it up.
Dragons are like the least 3-0 team of all the APAC teams so far. Them and the Valiant, they just seem to love to go to full map 5s. The only time it was a 3-0 was when Philly 3-0'd them at the very first game of the season. So aside from that, the Dragons can't help but go and play long game, which is why I knew this was going to be potentially a banger, but definitely a long one as well. I'll tell you what though, just a score check up here. You know, we have Dragons winning a map. We have the Boston Uprising winning a map. At some stage, Seoul Dynasty will also win a map in the series.
Well, let's see who takes the lead now. Eichenwalde going to be coming through here for our hybrid map. And then we will, of course, get to see Colosseo no matter what. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we get to go to Ilios all the way. And we'll see if we can make it happen. Or, hey, maybe we'll add some more onto it if we can have some draws.
Yeah, we draw, we get to go to Circuit as map 6. You guys don't even know that because it's not in the graphic. But there you go. Circuit Royale is map 6. Let's go, baby. Eichenwalde the draw.
All right, I'm all about it. Let's get the
actually,
push
I don't
draw,
like draws, so I'm actually not a big fan of
Let's get the
draws.
push draw on Colosseo.
The first ever owl push draw. We actually nearly got the first ever owl push draw, but
we did.
But that damn Valiant, they capped. And then they won the series. The only series that they have won.
Well,
so.
No,
sorry, they didn't win that series. They won the map.
No, they did not.
They're on a 23 match. What am I talking about? They're on a 23 match loss streak.
I was about to say. I was going to point it out, but
I even posted the memes myself. What am I doing?
It's one of those things where I'm like, do I want to call out my co-gasser and be like, actually, your math is incredibly incorrect?
I think you should.
Okay.
In future, just do it. Rip off that Band-Aid.
Right. Jump over the top, looking for the shot. Not going to get it. Fits. And I'm maybe just using the poison trap for the hell of it, but we'll go ahead and swap over to the Soldier 76, so we're just going to be mirror matched yet again.
As expected, I mean, you know, we're not seeing Chengdu here, no Jinmu Mei, but we are going to see Lip lead it. Holy cow, Prophet just goes in.
Yeah. Gets that kill, pulls back, and he says, oh, hey, Lee Jae-gon, you're here. We'll just go ahead, melee him, dagger to the back. Izayaki gone as well. That's already now 4 eliminations, as Who Are You will be the 5th to fall, and that will just be an incredibly fast cap here on point A for the side of the Dynasty. Dragons, they have their work cut out for them now on this defense.
That was the most Prophet, like, middle finger to the camera moment where he's looking at the fan comments, he's seeing all the, oh, Lip MVP, Lip should have been MVP last year, and Prophet's just like, hello, I'm actually still here, guys, and we'll see about that. Just like completely slaps Lip out of the server. I mean, Seoul have done a fantastic job of actually controlling Lip this entire series so far. Better than any team has so far controlled Lip, and Lip has definitely been a menace, but Prophet wants to make his stand.
That he does. While he's getting focus fired here, has to make his exit, so we'll just dash back over to the porticos with the rest of the team. Cart, in the meantime, starting to inch forward, so will be contested by Fate as he drops down to the low ground. Decent charge for him, moving over towards that Primal Rage. Lip as well, outpacing Fitz for now. Cart, though, starting to inch forward again.
I mean, Nano is available now, so once again, Creative just getting that one a little bit earlier. Decent Bionade as well, that will stop Prophet, so good job by Izayaki.
Yep, they lay him for a little bit longer there. The Tac Visor now going to be used. Lip finding Vindheim to start things off. Smurf makes his way to the high ground. He pops the Primal Rage. He just managed to find 2 kills, but has he overstepped with this ult use? He's looking for a little bit more here. Putting some extra damage in, but yeah, he is the last one alive. We'll grab that mini pack and will not make it out to safety. So Primal going to be burned. Shanghai Dragon's going to be very happy with that.
And Shanghai have seen all the different examples of Smurf making the Great Escape, and this time, instead of the Great Escape, they will make sure that is the longest stagger that they can possibly do. Smurf was primaled as well. Lip with the Vindane should slow things down for Seoul Dynasty, and the payload should start to slowly move backwards now.
Okay, well, that's going to be Lucio for Lucio. Prophet says, yeah, I can pull Blade, and he absolutely destroys with it. Who Are You? We'll finish him off, but, I mean, Prophet just goes up solo, finds 3. Gets traded, and yeah, the cart is open to move now. What in the hell? Prophet, this is just the Prophet
There's
effect.
4 damn ultimates! There's 4 damn ultimates! Lijigon had a beat! And they just all got wiped by Prophet. What? Hello? Shanghai Dragons, they're like, we're gonna 5v4, should probably win this one. There's no way Prophet team wipes us. And Prophet's like, we're gonna pipe down on all that lip talk, all that lip service, gotta pipe down on that. Because Prophet's, again, trying to claim that throne currently. Seoul Dynasty back in control, still have ultimates playthrough, but Shanghai have everything in the pocket. They need to start using a couple of these.
Fitz being tickled there by Fate on the flank, doesn't care, turns his sights over to the other members of the Shanghai Dragons. As the visor comes through, the beat does get dropped by Lee Jae-gon, but Prophet will still find the kill. Picks up 2 here in the fight. Fate now in danger, falls low, not gonna pop the primal, and that is just gonna be point B, snatched up by the Dynasty, who now have 4.5 minutes remaining in the time bank. The castle walls being broken open. And this is scary here. Seoul Dynasty clearly not satisfied at all with their attack on Gibraltar, not satisfied with being full or held, and they're making up for it here now on this attack on Eichenwalde.
Really quick fun fact before the fight starts. Yeah, I'm still going to get it in there. Prophet is currently deadlifting on Seoul. There you go. As of right now. 8 out of 16.
Pounding. Pulled by McHugh, I'll do it myself. Huge delivery here from Prophet thus far. Just the nano to work with, though, for the side of the Seoul Dynasty, so this is where they can get slowed up a bit. There's still a plethora of ultimates available for the Shanghai Dragons. They're going to use 2 of them, but there's a sleep! Creative puts Who Are You on the ground. He denies yet another blade. They haven't gotten the elimination yet. Who Are You, though, well out around the back. Deflection going to be burned. Fate in the meantime with the Primal Rage will find Fitz. Looks for a little bit more. Who Are You? Woken up, dashes through, gets a little bit of revenge there onto Creative. And he and Fate will carry the fight, with Lip getting involved right at the back end. So team kill comes in. They managed to make up for the beginning of that catastrophe with a nice little victory, and they'll drain some time off of the clock.
Dude, Prophet was 3% away from getting his own blade as well. So things were getting quite tight there. In some ways, I think Seoul don't mind backing out. Okay, they technically lose the fight, but they make it expensive. They force all these ultimates out of Shanghai. Fate has to pull out that Primal as well. Now it's Prophet's turn.
He goes into the back, he's looking for Lip with the nano visor. Lip will manage to find that elimination, but Vinhain goes in for the alley-oop, gets the kill in the end, and Lee Jae-gon got Goomba stomped by Smurf. He's got that primal rolling, leaping all the way back over towards the spawn doors. Fate now going to be antied out as he tries to play forward. Who Are You? Again, coming up with an elimination, but falls low, and Smurf is able to pursue for the kill. Cart now just going to be brought up around the final corner as they wait for Creative to try to rejoin. Bionade from Izayaki, not going to find anything. Fate just playing up, trying to keep this cart steady.
Yep. They did buy time because they need to get Lee Jae-gon to sound bad. They have to defend themselves against the visors coming through as well. Seoul would ideally like to move a little bit quicker than this because they have a minor ultimate advantage. They might not be aware of it currently, but Shanghai Dragons are lacking. So here we go. Fitz has gone in.
That he is. He's immediately going to be his own back, and now it's going to be a beat-for-beat matchup here. So Lee Jae-gon and Vinhain pull the trigger on those ultimates. Visor going to expire. Prophet continuing to play forward, trying to zone them back, and the Helix Rockets from Fitz, along with a couple extra shots, lead to the kill onto Fate. Smurf, however, low on HP, antied out. Lee Jae-gon will find that kill, but it's still the Shanghai Dragons having bodies dropped on the ground, left, right, and center. Fitz finds another. Lee Jae-gon needing to contest is going to be taken down. Now it's all on Fate, hiding within the bubble, but it gets broken. Prophet finds the elimination with 0.05 meters left to go. Who Are You? Gets himself forward. The nano comes out. He finds Vinhain. This needs to be a massive clutch. Prophet popping the deflect, trying to stay alive. Who Are You? Gets the blade, but then he goes down. Lee Jae-gon needs to buy enough time for him to rejoin the fight, but they cannot make it happen. Lip now, antied out, has to rotate back around the side. Prophet gets the blade pulled, goes for Fate. The primal comes in. Shanghai Dragons continue to make this fight go their way. Who Are You, though? Pulls the blade himself, and Fitz cuts him down to size. It's going to be a trade out on the Genjis as the overtime continues to go. 0.5 meters, 0.05 meters for that matter, is all that the Dynasty need, but they're losing out on the fight. The Shanghai Dragons have managed to stabilize. Boop comes in. They're trying to push them off the cart. The primal now there as well from Smurf. They just need to clear a little bit of space to have this glide through. A minute now remaining. They're going to dip under it here. Shanghai Dragons continue to fight back. They manage to close it out, and now Seoul Dynasty are at threat of not being able to finish the map.
And Smurf popped the ult there as well. I think at that stage, you have to recognize as Seoul that you're starting to lose the fight. You are going up against respawn advantage, and you are no longer getting enough kills. They probably should have capped, but Fate had Primal. Fate uses Primal, buys some time. By the way, also, Fate's Primal stops Prophet from getting any value on his blade. Sure, Who Are You died during his blade, but Prophet couldn't get more done because he was targeted by Fate. Another huge sleep from Creative to shut down Lip, but Dragons clutch on out. What an insane performance.
Well, now Visor v Visor, Lip gonna pop as well. Fitz immediately pulling back around the corner, and Prophet not able to do the same. Ends up going down with 15 seconds remaining. A major pickoff here from the side of the Shanghai Dragons, who have 2 support ultimates to utilize. Vinheim still trying to build up towards that sound barrier. They push up around the corner, dive into the back. Creative hitting the floor. I think Who Are You deflected the sleep back toward him. Gets the elimination, dashes through, gets the kill onto Fitz, and that should be it. The beat is going to be dropped, but it's just Vinheim and Prophet versus the world. The ante goes out onto the Tracer. Prophet, how clutch can you be? The recall already going to be burned. Lee Jae-gon finds the final 2 kills as the OT will bleed away, and I cannot believe that they have managed to make it happen. They give up so much space. They give such a massive time bank over to the side of the Dynasty, but when they get 0.05 meters away, the Dragons come in clutch. They successfully defend it, and now there is a serious win condition for them here to move up the match point if they can finish the map.
I think that is such a masterclass shown by the Shanghai Dragons in terms of their clutch capabilities, just in a situation that looked unwinnable. I mean, we were literally sitting in a place where, for Dragons, the most likely line of play was to say, well, okay, we probably lose the point, but it's time to delay. We'll see what happens during the delay. If we can just delay longer, then, you know, at least the time bank, or at least the OT, the time bank scenario later on could be better, but they turned that into an actual fight win, which is humongous, and what a treat to watch as well, because that's exactly the type of Shanghai Dragons that won the championship last year. That level of play, that level of clutch, that level of ability to pull out a win even in the most dire of situations, and now there will be no time back. Seoul Dynasty, despite how well they played, despite how hard Prophet had carried, especially on A and B, again, I remind you, over those 2 first points, he was statistically deadlifting for Seoul. He won a fight, by the way, where Vinheim died on B. Prophet says, I'm going to go in anyway. Dragon says 4 ultimates, and Prophet cleans them up with a blade. That should never happen, but Prophet just made it happen.
Bionade thrown, looking for the hit, finds 2. Who Are You? Actually almost dies there. Cheeky little play from Creative with the lineups. And they will just stabilize and go ahead and start moving their way forward. Izayaki actually comes out better off the back end of that nade. Plenty of things to heal. Now finds himself at 23% of Creative's 15. But here we start the fight. Prophet already going to be dashing back over the point, join in with the rest of the squad, and you can see the Dynasty are conceding a hell of a lot of space. They're playing back over onto the point rather than forward to try to cut off the Shanghai Dragons, so they actually get decent access here. And right now, Dynasty completely contained within the side room. Fate going to be anteed out, taken low, hasn't been eliminated yet, nor has Who Are You, and they will stay alive.
Fate literally purple on 1 HP, didn't die. Smurf as well, very low HP. Both of these tanks threading the needle in terms of their own HP buys. We don't even have a tick yet either. Finally, a final blow comes through.
And it does. Prophet greedily dashes forward, gets the elimination on the Lee Jae-gon, but they might be able to turn this right back on its head. The DPS duo taken down away from the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Smurf, though, will find Izayaki. That's the support stripped away from Shanghai Dragons, so for now, the Dynasty will be able to stabilize, and obviously Genji and Soldier 76 can rejoin to the point very quickly, so they shouldn't miss too much time here.
Also, Shanghai are kind of slow to regroup here as well, so they're not in a position to push off this Nano. If they are, Seoul Dynasty could happily kind of give away a tick, then rejoin with Nano. They will have the Visor available now. And again, Lip is not playing a Soldier, he's on a Reaper, so we're looking for a different kind of strategy here. Shanghai definitely trying to brawl this one out.
Looking for the dive into the back there on a Creative, so he just goes ahead, sends out the Nano. Fitz pops the Visor, finds Lee Jae-gon to begin. Now turns his sights over towards Fate, who pops the Primal Rage to stay alive. Fitz rotating around, goes for a bit of a flank angle, spots Izayaki, wants to get that other support out of the fight. Izayaki has since used that Nano, now on to Lip. He's currently ripping apart Smurf. Takes him low, but they cannot get the elimination before the Primal becomes available, so Smurf is going to pop at the stay in the fight. Death Blossom, however, is still held. It's been cut down to size. Who Are You finds that elimination. The second tick now getting ready to come through. A nice sleep goes in, delivers the kill onto Smurf. And now it seems like Dragons will be able to get the cap. 4 minutes, 21 seconds in the time bank for them as they begin to push through the street space.
No Blossom, no Blade required for that fight either. Dragons get away with, honestly, quite a bit of value. What a deflect from Who Are You with the Prophet trying to maintain and maybe establish some of that Genji dominance. But probably no hero place here. Have to kind of call out Fitz there a little bit, that he spent most of the Visor shooting Fate, who then just primals anyway. So he wasn't aware that Fate had a primal. Gets a kill to Lee Jae-gon, couldn't connect the second final blow. Ends up being mostly a wasted Visor as Lip cleaned up most of the rest of the kills. But we're in the sort of situation now where it's kind of free push for the Shanghai Dragons, and if you're Seoul and you want to contest this one, you will be contesting into a Blossom.
Prophet is in the back lines with the blade, and he manages to find one. Even if that's the only kill he gets, which it will be, still a decent pickup. But now Lijiang going to be sending out the sound barrier. The blade pulled from Who Are You, finds Creative, so it exchange on the honors with these Dragon Blades. Can't find anybody else. Cart being contested for the moment by Smurf, but he has left out the drive, and Haim cannot successfully go down there to try to keep him safe, so Smurf ends up falling, and that's a lot of space now opened up here for the Dragons on the push.
Very economical wins here as well. Again, we're not overspending ultimates. Beaten Blade used there, still holding onto the Blossom, unrequired. Could be a Nano Blossom coming on through. Primal Force from Fate, but they're in position, they're still pushing.
Okay, yep, he ulti napped there for Fate, but it doesn't matter. He's already done his due diligence. He has isolated Creative, and Who Were You was able to find the elimination. They isolate Fitz as well. Vendame will come in for a little bit of an alley-oop as he and Lijiang playing bloodthirstily still. The cart now making its way halfway across the bridge. Lip still holds onto the Death Blossom, just waiting for the moment to strike.
And the moment to strike is going to be at the end point of this cap. That's when the Blossom is going to be the most useful. And he hasn't quite found the right opportunity yet because, well, to be fair, he hasn't really had to use this. Still waiting for it to come on through. Fitz going down, that push. It's nasty.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of booped Lip further forward into Fitz, so he was able to get that elimination. Sound barrier is now dropped by Vendame, trying to make up for it here.
Dragon's
just oopsie perhaps from him. Fate going to be taking a nap. Smurf antied out, Primal rolling, looking for a target, but the focus fire is still going to be great. They manage to trade out on the Winstons. Tac Visor now here from Fitz, continues to seek some targets, will take Lip dangerously low. Sliver of HP remaining for him. The cleanup will come through, and Dynasty have finally stabilized, it would seem.
And this is where you have to really start to maybe take a second look at this Reaper pick, because you're beginning to understand why you really need the Zarya to make the Reaper work. Multiple times there from Lip's POV, we saw he tried to go for a TP, he was looking for a position, but you can't just TP into the faces of your opponents, because normally with the Zarya, you would get bubbled, you're fine. TP wherever the hell you want. He would like to just shift into an ultimate, but as soon as you ult, you probably die. You need the bubble during the ult to get the line, to get you across the line. So it's been hard for Lip to do too much on this Reaper now that we've reached the second point.
Often holding the corner now, the Nano goes in, the blade, the sleep does connect, but he gets woken back up, and oh no, the miscommunication here from the Dragons. It is going to cost them dearly. Prophet continues to play forward now. His Fate just going to be farmed up. It's 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining as Prophet finds another successful blade.
And I think, again, the only way you got to get this Blossom is when Dragons force a fight on the payload and they're about to cap, Seoul can test the cap, and then suddenly they have to run into the Blossom. Other than that, it's going to be rough. Maybe Lip can just TP into the backline and randomly find Vendame and Creative. Probably will get slept doing that. And Dragons, they've lost all time. Oh, there's momentum. Okay, finally, they do get this kill. They have ultimates play through. This has to be the fight for Dragons, surely.
Fitz is all the way out in no man's land. I mean, he's still managing to stay alive for a considerable amount of time. The Death Blossom actually gets forced there by Lip.
He's like, I gotta use it, guys. We gotta use this at some point.
Yeah, I say forced in with heavy air quotes around it, but the card is still going to be advancing now as they wait to regroup.
And now he doesn't have it for the push.
Who Are You dives into the castle, has the blade pulled, deflect is used, Creative taken down, and Smurf killed off as well. The cart should be able to move up into B, especially given that Vinheim is the last one left alive. He's going to move up. Looks for a little bit of harassment here, but ends up falling. Can't get much closer towards the sound barrier. And now we have the final stretch of the castle. Shanghai Dragons still very winnable for them.
All that kerfuffle, I mean, it is winnable, but it's also very losable, because how much time was wasted, Achilles, on B? It felt like they had the momentum pushed through multiple times. They already had the payload basically at the end, and they never set up for a Death Blossom fight. Couldn't do that properly. Thank God Who Are You got it done with the Nano Blade.
On the aggressive, just aggressing forward, I should say, here from the side of the Shanghai Dragons. I can't find my words. Lip will find two. Both supports now going to be taken down as he sticks with the Reaper pick. Cart, however, still going to be held in place firmly by Prophet for a little bit longer. Just trying to deny as much progress as possible, but now they're starting to stagger.
That has to be a prime.
Can't use it.
No, okay, well, they're going to save. Okay, the payload is just far enough away, but the problem is it's about to cap now, so with no Primal, no Smurf, it's hard for them to get on. Here he comes finally in the last couple of seconds.
Fitz is just dead! They dropped the beat. I don't know if he didn't get the shielding or if he got focus fired so damn hard that it didn't even matter. But he just absolutely falls over. Smurf into the back lines, has the Primal rolling, but the focus fire again is looking great, and he is going to be taken down. He's bought a little bit of space for the side of the Seoul Dynasty to work with, but without their main tank, they are in dire straits. Prophet pulling the blade, gets booped back there for just a moment, and as he hits the ground, Lip with the Death Blossom, he builds up another one, and this time it is successful, and the Shanghai Dragons will manage to make the push work. They get to the end of Eichenwalde, they win the map, and now they are in the lead 2-1 in this series.
Smurf way overcommitted there. He went for the entire backline, 1v5 almost. You actually saw, by the way, when we had that zoomed out third-person camera towards the end, his supports are on the payload because they have to contest. No one can heal him. Literally out of LOS. That's kind of inexcusable, I'm going to be real, looking at it from Smurf's POV. If he stays alive, they still have a tank available to play through. Maybe Seoul can clutch it out further. And to be honest with you, the Lip Reaper pick unsupported by Zarya rather on B, a little bit questionable. But once we get to C, that's when things start looking better. Reaper far more effective on a C point. Everything is flat. You can kind of just run in and out at opponents. You don't have to worry about too much high ground, low ground play. Yeah, I know Reaper has a teleport, but again, teleports are super unsafe when you don't have a Zarya. So Shanghai kind of get past the difficult area of the map, get to the easier part of the map with very limited time, but I think they just, you know, they had the momentum with a couple of extra frags. Seoul Dynasty really desperate to try and regroup, then overcommit, and then they fail. And honestly, Seoul probably should have capped anyway. Probably should have been in a time bank, but it's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas for the Seoul Dynasty, sadly.
That it is, but damn if this series isn't delivering. Love to see it. 2-1 the lead now for the side of the Shanghai Dragons. We've got Colosseo coming up next. We'll see if the Seoul Dynasty can extend this into a 5th and final map, as is fated. The last time that they clashed, it was a 5-map set. The Shanghai Dragons did walk away victoriously from that series. We'll see what happens when we return from the break, so don't go anywhere. And we are back 2-1. The lead taken by the Shanghai Dragons after that win on Eichenwalde. And, I mean, the slimmest of margins. A .05 meter contest to drain the time bank down from the Dynasty, who, reminder, had over like 5 minutes at the beginning of that map because they were able to cap A in the first 30 seconds. Massive time bank for them, but cannot get to the finish. The Shanghai Dragons managed to do just that. Now we go over to Colosseo to see if the Dragons can finish this off, get the win, and take first place here in the APAC region on push, or if the Dynasty can take us to Ilios for a map 5.
I'll tell you what, the Hangzhou Spark are loving this right now because taking Seoul down at peg, even if Seoul do win the series now, they'd have to win it as a 3-2, which really kind of hurts their score line as far as map differential is concerned. So to get first seed right now, Spark are looking pretty favored. Shanghai Dragons, even if they do win, and Fleta is going to sub in for Who Are You for Colosseo, even if Shanghai Dragons do win this one, if Spark beats Fusion, it's very likely that Spark will just get the first seed because Spark's already map differential is much higher than Dragons to begin with, and I also believe they'd be both 5-1, but Spark would just have more map wins. So it's a good day for the Hangzhou Spark to maybe get that one through, but Dragons as well can absolutely put themselves at least second seed ahead of the Seoul Dynasty with a result like this, and this is what we're talking about, right? The sleeping dragon has awoken, fire in the breath, ready to set towns on fire. We've been waiting. We've been waiting a while for the Dragons to get up and ready. Got to do their morning stretches, but we're finally here.
Yeah, and it's still not necessarily, the form that we anticipated from them. They still are rough around the edges. It's incredibly clutch, these moments that they're bringing together, going to these map 5s, being able to win right at the very end. It's not the dominance that we were expecting from a roster that has not changed, really, since they won the championship last season. But they are steadily improving. They're steadily getting back into that form.
Put Bebe in, you cowards.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen for a little while here, but we'll have to wait and see for the future. God. Maybe he's their playoffs machine. They're waiting. He's just sitting in the background, getting it. He's just consistently under 24-hour shoulder massage therapy right now. They're getting him geared up, and he's going to come out just jacked and just smack everybody out of the way when it comes down to the kickoff clash. I don't know, but it seems like we shouldn't be seeing him for a little while because this roster has gotten their stuff together. They are starting to really excel, and a lot of it has to do with Who Are You. And coming into this season, I wasn't sure how much Who Are You were going to see. It was a big question mark around what the meta was going to look like, who was going to be piloting things. Fleta in his own right is a good Genji player. Who Are You, obviously a specialist, one of the longest standing Genji specialists in the history of competitive Overwatch. I still wasn't certain how much are we going to get to see Who Are You, and I'm pleasantly surprised that we're getting quite a bit of him. In every single series, basically, we have seen Who Are You make his appearance. We saw him here from the very get-go for these first 3 maps, and man, was his presence absolutely felt, especially there on that last map, if I can fault it.
It's the perfect meta for Who Are You to come through. They probably wait for a Genji meta, Genji specialist coming on through. They love it. Who Are You? Getting to see it. He could have very likely have spent another season on the bench, but when a Genji meta calls, he's there to answer, right? So an insane comeback for this player whose career has been largely, I think, been left on the wayside, despite having a chip in a ring and having a championship next to his name. Now I think, with seeing how he's playing, how he's integrated into the team, he absolutely is one of the Shanghai Dragons with his ability to get Dragons many of their wins so far during the stage. So it seems to be continuing as we continue through the series. Maybe not for this map, because I said it would be continuing, but Fleta has come in for Colosseo, which means I think we're going to see... could it maybe be a bit of Zarya plus Reaper action? Fate is still in here though, so maybe it's not quite that for Dragons. I would be a little concerned because most teams have been playing the Zarya on this map now. Even I think the diehard Winston teams are starting to get the gist of it. They're thinking, you know what? No, I think the Zarya really is the right call here. We see Chengdu, Gaga would be the one, or maybe even Daisy playing Zarya here. So even teams that have the one tank, I wouldn't be surprised if Smurf goes on Zarya here as well. So I'm just trying to kind of figure out ways and reasons why Fleta would be in. It's unlikely that Fleta is here to play Genji, because otherwise they would have just kept Who Are You. So most likely we're looking at Soldier, Reaper kind of deal. Maybe even Tracer, actually. Fleta could be on that.
Could be. I don't know. I'm just waiting for the day that somebody pulls Hoxel out of retirement, given that we're in such a a Genji-dominated meta, given that you want somebody who's incredibly proficient on that pick.
Well, Vancouver needs help.
Profit in his own right is incredible, but yeah, I don't think he would answer that phone call. But maybe for the other teams potentially that are still in base here in the APAC region, if they really want to get a Genji specialist, just throw a truckload of money at Hoxel and get the man to come back in.
I mean,
and pound on the Genji.
What team even needs? I feel like every team has a Genji player though. Like I'm struggling to,
But do they have a Hoxel level player?
I guess. I don't know. They've all been pretty reasonable. Like even more unknown players like Becky and Valiant have been pretty decent, right? You have Jimmu, he's hot and cold, but on the Genji he's certainly on the hotter side. The four blades of Who Are You, Zest, Alpha Yi, and Choice of One. So I don't know. I don't really know who else is left in the equation after that. But and then Profit on Seoul. So sadly, it does look pretty covered. Maybe another chance for Huxel. As I mentioned, Vancouver, they need some help right now. But we are going to go over to Colosseo. Not going to get baited by the Fit Sombra. No, we saw that in week 1. It didn't work. Seoul, no, it doesn't work. So it's not going to happen. And it is going to be Tracer Soldier for what it's worth. So there it is. I will say if Fitz does roll... No, he's not. But if he was going to roll out on a Sombra, that to me would be an indication of a read that they think Fate's playing Doom. But obviously, we're going to play Winston here. Interesting that both teams decide to play Winston, because as I said, Zarya has mostly overtaken this map.
Well, out the gates, looking like maybe a little bit of a fountain clash here. Dynasty playing a little bit further back away from this, eyeing up the bot themselves as they wait for him to unlock. 10 seconds left to go for that, as the soldiers will just send some shots across, looking for straight connections, trying to build up towards those ever-important tack visors. Bot now going to be unlocked, gets the initial little push started here for the side of the Dragons. And immediately shifted back as we just go toe-to-toe. No one really committing in for any kind of fight yet. They haven't been able to poke and prod enough damage in for a full commit.
Here we go. Fate's the first one that wants to pull that trigger. But again, it's a soft commit, right? He comes in, drops a bubble, then leaves again. So both teams still doing mostly poke. With Fate actually exiting with a jump, that might give Seoul the opportunity to walk up.
Yep, and they have. A little bit of contest coming through, but there's the anti after Mizuyaki, and Smurf will go down creative as well. Traded just moments before. The rest of the team now going to have to hightail it back. Fitz is playing forward inside of his own healing field, trying to find presence here, make sure the bot is not going to be able to advance past the initial corner. That he does.
That's going to be the first ultimate coming online, and Izuyaki, he's nearly on towards it Nano, one of the few times that Izuyaki's actually been ahead of creative so far in this particular series, but Profit looking for somebody on the back line. I mean, that will be a swing indeed, and that to me will be the first actual fight win. This initial 10 meters from Shanghai, not too much to write home about just yet.
Yeah, not at all. Well, Pulse now going to be online. Profit was looking for a setup, but then has to dip away as he does get spotted. Now he's going to go back in, looks for the stick, can't quite get it though. Izuyaki going to be safe. Yeah, pulls away, but just a hair off there. Cannot quite make it happen. Lip now popping the tack visor, starts charging forward, looks for some targets. Both supports now on the side of the Dynasty have fallen. Fitz as well going to join them in the grave as Lip cleans up 4 in the fight. Profit only now able to finally deal with him. He's keeping the bot held in place for just a little bit longer, but now it can start advancing yet again for the Dragons.
Yeah, I don't agree with that Nano coming through from Fitz at all, unfortunately. He uses it after his Nano's expired, first and foremost, and then secondly, his team is white. Both the supports are dead. There's no chance he wins it. He would have to defeat Lip, who still has a Nano Visor running, as well as the rest of the Dragons. That's just going to be a wasted ultimate now. Sound Barrier available for Vindane, but also on board for Lee Jae-gon as well. Dragons currently hold the cards.
Oh, Fleta. Oh, he somehow doesn't get the stick. Creative stays alive. Throws down the Bionade just to keep himself in the fight, make sure that he is nicely topped off and can get some good healing.
All right,
from
Who Are You back in. Get him back in.
Yeah, dropping the spaghetti just a little bit there. Both the Tracers unable to find their targets. Fate now pops the ult, instantly going to be greeted with a nap. Smurf as well. Primal is rolling for him. Sound Barrier comes down from the Dragons first. Now Vinheim going to be matching. Fit trying to buy some space, goes charging forward. Spots Fleta in the back line. Lip going to be peeled though. And Smurf goes in, finds an elimination onto the enemy soldier 76. Dive comes through. Peel is good yet again. Sleep Dart connecting onto Fate. Now they get the anti down onto him as well, as he is just got nowhere left to go. Will end up getting picked off, and it's a good one fight here for the side of the Dynasty, as they will go ahead and finally get this bot pushing forward.
And without too much fanfare from the Shanghai Dragons 27-meter 0-1 push either, which means that Seoul should be able to overtake that in very few moments. With nearly 4 minutes expended, this is some of the lowest innings in terms of a drive from either team. You know, with 4 minutes, sometimes we've seen teams push checkpoints 60, 70 meters here. Combined, we've barely reached 50.
Well, pulse bomb's available yet again, and this time Prophet does not miss. He gets the stick onto Izayaki. That's going to be the nano out of the fray for a little bit longer. Here's Dynasty trying to take the lead. Stick in onto Smurf. Will just be able to shrug off that damage, though. Heavily armored up, gets some nice focus healing. Doesn't really take a scratch there. His Fate continues to try to play forward, tries to keep this contested. Eventually has to make his exit. Bot now charging forward. The lead there for the Seoul Dynasty, but it's still very slim margins. We'll see how far they can take this before the recontest comes back in.
Izayaki wanted to save his nano as well. Maybe could have nano Fate there, but has to go for the nano visor. Would love to go for the nano visor. Lip and Fitz both getting kills here.
Lip getting the better of him. Now is looking for Vinheim. Puts quite a bit of damage down onto the enemy Lucio, but Vinheim will be able to survive for a little bit longer. Fleta pulling some, Prophet pulling some attention there. Turns Lip's sights away from the support, but Fate, he's got his eye on the prize. He's looking for Vinheim now for the finisher. Go ahead and clean up both. Lip, however, with the Helix rockets will get the Lucio, and now the bot going to be shipped back over towards the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, it's the second visor exchange that goes heavily in the way of Lip. Unfortunately, Fitz just can't quite get his feet on the ground here. Ironically called legs as the soldier, but the visor's just not really been that useful from Fitz. Lip has had his number, and just as the Seoul Dynasty take a minor lead over the Shanghai Dragons, could be going the other way around. Vindeg with the sound barrier to go in.
Yep, now going to be matched by Lee Jae-gon, seeing the forward pressure coming in from the Dynasty. Creative on a little bit of fire, has to dip back. He goes into the corner, but Fate manages to find that kill all the same. Smurf can't quite peel well enough here for his supports, but does manage to find Izayaki. Now Fate going to be falling, and it's going to be the Dynasty winning out the fight. They get damn close, just 4 meters away from being able to tie this up, but the Dynasty get the team kill. And now they send the bot back over towards Dragon's side of the map.
Yeah, both sound barriers exchanged there, but Seoul Dynasty on the back of that brilliant damage and to put a lot of members low. Smurf with the Primal as well. Back with their push. And they have 5 members up, importantly, so they're not waiting for any extra members respawning. We're down to about 2 minutes now, and yet no one's gotten past 40 meters. It's such a close game that essentially anybody can do it. Prophet gets another stick on Izayaki.
That he does, just for the delaying for those nano boosts and not be in the fight. Smurf again going to be the recipient of a pulse bomb stick, but that is not going to lead to a kill from Fleta. Now he's down to 2 HP. Vinheim manages to hound him down, gets the elimination. The bot continuing to push forward here for Seoul Dynasty. Really stretching the gap now between the two squads and the distance that has been accrued. 50 meters going to be achieved. Fits low, gets himself to a safe spot, throws down that bionic field, gets himself top back up. Fate leaping forward. Still has to play on the bridge.
Where's the visor? There it is.
Contested. There's the visor. Fitz chasing forward. Finds Lee Jae-gon. Kratos going to be taken down, but Prophet immediately equalizes, finding Izayaki. The fight going to be won. Fleta, not much that he can do. Smurf gets the stomp elimination. Puts a lot of pressure on this nano visor here from the side of the Shanghai Dragons to not only win the fight, but also allow them to push back towards the opposite side, because this is just getting worse and worse for them as time goes on.
Well, they got the checkpoint as well now, over 17 meters. Importantly, Izayaki dies at like 98% nano, so Shanghai could have also pulled the trigger on the nano visor, and as I've said earlier, they've so far had the better nano visors. However, Seoul managed to get their nano up first, mostly due to Prophet sticking Smurf a little bit, Fleta sticking Smurf a little bit earlier. That got transferred over towards Creative's healing. Smurf, he dies without popping Primal, just barely, I think.
He got it right in the very same moment that he died, so just no opportunity realistically for him to pop it. They still have a good amount of time and a good amount of distance for this recontest, though, so need to just go for a bit of a reset. Vinheim playing forward, trying to get some damage in to build up to the next sound barrier. Now they have to reset. Dragons, go ahead and ship this back across, but see if they can get a real push going, because they have to double their distance right now. Quite literally double their distance to tie it.
I mean, but Lee Jae-gon's still coming back from spawn, so they're not quite as far, which means they don't have the opportunity to go too far. Thankfully, Lee Jae-gon is a Lucio, right? So we'll be able to rejoin the team very quickly. Seoul Dynasty haven't made use of that 5v4 advantage at all, but they will be looking for another pulse bomb. This time, Prophet is potentially looking at Fate, but he's landed on Izayaki almost every single time, so I think backline needs to be the port of call for Prophet.
No, absolutely should be. He's going around the back. He's looking for it. He gets the stick yet again, but the sound barrier's there. Lee Jae-gon keeps him alive. It's just going to be absorbed by the shielding. Fate now going to be taking a nap as he does pop the ultimate, but Prophet still manages to hound down that target. He gets the elimination. Lip in the meantime with attack visor rolling, comes up with 2. Vinheim and Prophet going to be out of the fight. Izayaki, a long run back, but the rest of his squad are managing to excel. Fitz, however, takes out Lip, but that's as good as it's going to get. The cart now
it's good trades.
Pushing forward. The bot might just be able to make it.
No, they still have to get the checkpoint, and the checkpoint's got to be a stall for the bot, so there is opportunity for Seoul to come back. Look at the respawns. Eichenwalde has to taxi 2 members. There just isn't enough people alive for Dragons, and the only ultimate is on Izayaki, who's in spawn. Because the robot stalls at the checkpoint, Seoul can win this.
They absolutely can, but it can still go either way. Everybody now arrives here from the side of the Shanghai Dragons, and Smurf is going to be dead. He tries to leap out, but it's far too late. Bionade down onto Legion and Lip both under fire, but he will get
sleeping.
Turning to the
Fitz
side,
sleeping.
catches him in the head. The sleep is there. Fitz now getting nanoed in the dying breath of creative. He tries to offer up this victory to them, but he cannot make it happen. They will close it out in overtime. The Shanghai Dragons doing it so few teams have managed before them here on Colosseo. They get the push across, and they will stop the win streak that Dynasty have been on. 3-1. The victory here for the Dragons as they yet again manage to take down Dynasty.
That's a heartbreaking loss for the Seoul Dynasty as well, because it was set up in a way where they had the opportunity to contest. Fitz gets slept by Izayaki, singing the praises of creative for pretty much the entire game, but it's Izayaki in the final moments. He sees the visor coming on through, the only opportunity for Seoul Dynasty to still clutch, and he shuts it the damn down. But we are now finally, Achilleos, I think weeks later, 4 weeks into the Overwatch League season, getting some teams having the capability of turning around push games. They go awry early for them. We saw Houston do it earlier today versus Paris, and now we see Seoul do it against, rather Shanghai do it against Seoul as well. So incredibly clutch stuff, and this is why I go back to the Shanghai clutch factor. Look at Eichenwalde. Look at this map here as well. It does not go well for them for a decent portion, but right towards the end, even when things are at their most dire, 3 members alive, Eichenwalde has to go back and taxi 2. That should not be a situation that Shanghai can win, and yet they do. What a clutch team.
I mean, they managed to get back just in time as the contest happens, and then they went out the fight from there. Some great shots coming in from Lip as well, but, I mean, Izayaki with the sleep, everything just really came together for the Shanghai Dragons there in that moment, playing cohesively, playing as a hive mind, the hive mind that we were expecting from the very get-go this season. They finally have achieved it, and they've done it against their toughest opponent yet here in the side of the Seoul Dynasty. I say that, but this is also one of the cleanest victories that they have under their belt because it's not a map 5.
True.
But yeah, this is a bit of a heartbreaker for the side of the Dynasty. I saw a lot of people in the post-match thread from their last series saying like, oh, Dynasty look incredible, but we probably get 3-0'd by Dragons because that's just what always happens whenever we go up against them. Well, it's not quite that 3-0. They almost take it to the game 5, but they do still suffer the loss. But I think that this just sets the stage more so for the kickoff clash when we do get into the tournament properly, how close these teams at the top are playing against each other. I think it's just going to be an incredible way to kick things off. But enough about that. That's for the future. For the right now, let's go ahead and take a look at our player of the match. Because I think there's a couple people that you could probably nominate on the side of the Dragons. A little bit rough from everybody at the very beginning. But in the end, it all comes down to one man. It's who are you?
I actually think he's the clear cut. You know, the only other person that Fate would probably be my second on the list if I was to pick a second person. Lip actually struggled in this matchup compared to how he normally plays, and I think on the last Mega Colosseo he started to pick it up again. But who are you consistently good throughout the entire day? He didn't even play the last map, which I think is maybe good for Flater to get one in there as well because he was looking a bit shaky, so it keeps his head above water. But consider that you probably don't have this win on Eichenwalde if you don't have some major Who Are You heroics. I said the same thing about him on Oasis as well. We remember the 0.05 meter contest from Who Are You. If that doesn't happen, it's a cap. We go to Time Bank, anything happens there. We look on map 3 as well. I mean, it's just all of these insane Who Are You moments that really do it for this team, that really made the difference. And I think Prophet had an insane day as well, but Who Are You's consistency when the rest of his team had high and low moments because of tough competition, Who Are You to me was the standout.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, didn't get to play the entire series, but played the majority of it and was incredibly impactful. Like you said, 0.05 contest is something that's going to be haunting the Dynasty's dreams for a little while, I do think. Turn them into nightmares. because they were so close to being able to push that across the line. But we have plenty from this series to talk about what it means for the Kickoff Clash, which is going to be upcoming and whatnot. So we're going to need a little bit more time to discuss, myself and Avril. So we'll be back in a couple minutes, break down some more of the action here from our first series, and then we'll get ready to go into the second match of the day. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back for a little chat in just a few. Alrighty, and we are back. That first series was just so damn good that we have to talk a little bit more about it. So, obviously, major shakeup here now in the standings as the Shanghai Dragons managed to claim victory over the Seoul Dynasty 3-1. Avril, what does this do to the landscape here in APAC?
Again, I think I touched up on this slightly, but it probably puts Spark in leading position now to get first seed. All Spark would need to do is win their match against Fusion, any scoreline. As long as they get the win, they will get first seed in APAC. Now, for Dynasty to at least hold on to second, they would need the Spark to lose to Fusion, and for Fusion to beat Spark with at least a 3-1, if not a 3-0 scoreline. If Spark get 2 maps up against Fusion and lose, Spark will actually clinch that tiebreaker, I'm pretty sure. As Spark did beat Dynasty early in the season, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of how things are shaping up as far as that goes. But very close series that, once again, talking back about the game, Achilles said, I think it still delivers. We didn't go to map 5, but every single map was super entertaining. I mean, even this full hold that happened in Gibraltar ended up being a fuller hold, right? More heroics coming through from Who Are You on a map that Lip was really struggling on. His Widowmaker characteristically has been good on most maps, but up against the Seoul Dynasty, he wasn't having a great time on that Widow at all. And then obviously we go to the Eichenwalde map, which, this will be one of those historic Shanghai Dragons clutches. This and Colosseo were just really, I think, the epitome of, like you sort of mentioned earlier, the Shanghai Dragons hive mind of really being able to play together as a unit, but also just understanding limits and understanding, what the smallest win conditions and comeback mechanics really are. Eichenwalde ferrying people back on Colosseo in the final couple moments there as well, just barely getting them in time to get a full fight going still. Lip finally getting a good Death Blossom, which is seen the replay here after, I think, mostly trolling on B. That Reaper really did not do anything on B, but I'm glad Lip got something done on both A and C there. Not the best performance, I think, from Lip so far throughout the season. I would actually say this is probably Lip's weakest, outside the Fusion performance, this would probably be the next weakest performance from Lip, who otherwise, I think, dominated every other game for the Dragons, but today, it was Who Are You's time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, talking about strong performances and whatnot, this is also a little bit of a weaker one from Smurf. We were, jesting in series prior about him limit testing, really being able to ride the line, not go too far, but go far enough that he's getting consistent punish, consistent value by jumping onto the enemy. But this time was not allowed to get away with nearly as much as we've seen in the past. So it was really good focus there from the side of the Shanghai Dragons to consistently punish him, especially on Eichenwalde, where he's trying to peel, he's trying to get into that back line, but everybody just collapses. The hive mind activates, they get the kill onto the Winston, and they get the clutch plays. So a bit of a rough one here from the side of the Seoul Dynasty, but a tough opponent in the Shanghai Dragons. They go ahead and, at least for now, will be in that #1 spot as they move up, I believe, 5-1 in their scoreline. So a good little return to form from them. But we're not done yet, because things could get wacky. We're getting ready to go into the next matchup here of the evening to round out the week. It's going to be the Chengdu Hunters versus the LA Valiant. The Valiant still very much looking for that first win, looking to break the loss streak that they find themselves on. They've gotten so very close this whole way through so far in 2022. Haven't quite been able to make it happen yet, but maybe they can find success versus the Pandas. We're going to find out when we return, so don't go anywhere. That match starts in just a few minutes.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.